Okay, well, hello everybody, and welcome to today's webinar, Transforming Teaching and Learning with ThingLink. My name is Susan Oxnavad, and we're going to cover several topics today, and they're all listed up here. We're going to introduce ThingLink to those of you who don't know what ThingLink is. I'm going to demonstrate some ways to use ThingLink in the classroom, and then we'll do a little demo on getting started with ThingLink. After that, I'm going to share with you, this is in the wrong order, I'm going to share with you information about a ThingLink EDU Premium account that's just become available and show you some of those features. And with that comes ThingLink for video. And then finally, at the end, I'm going to hope to inspire you with some ideas and resources from a summer challenge that I facilitated this summer along with many wonderful teachers. Some are in the audience, and that would be the ThingLink Teacher Challenge. So before we get started, my name is Susan Oxnavad, and I'm the ThingLink Education Community Manager. My goal this summer has been to build a community of learners and educators all working together using ThingLink and sharing ideas. I think that's been pretty successful. We have a very nicely growing community. I work, in addition to being the ThingLink Education Community Manager, I work as a tech coach in Oak Park, Illinois, which is just outside of Chicago. I've been doing it for many, many, many years, since about 14 years now. So even before, technology has changed quite a bit. I was an early adopter of ThingLink, started using it a long time ago, and I've watched it grow. I loved it when I started, and I've just watched it become the tool that it is today. And I'm also a blogger. Here's a picture of some of the places where I blog. One of the places I blog is the ThingLink Blog. I also have my own blog, Cool Tools for 21st Century Learners. And I also like to present at conferences and host webinars like this one. Today I'm going to be giving you a lot of information, and you will have this video recording available for review later. So I hope you'll just relax right now and enjoy what you see and try to take it all in, get some ideas, but you don't need to take diligent notes right now because you will have access to this. I also think that I'd love it when people contact me. So here's my email address. It's easy, susan@thinglink.com. And also, if you follow me on Twitter, I'm on Twitter all the time. And so you could keep up with the latest ThingLink happenings. You could also follow ThingLink EDU on Twitter. Okay. So I'd like to tell you a little bit about the webinar controls. You should see this control panel. This is just a snapshot of it right now. We are live broadcasting. You should see right now a place where you can ask questions, and you are muted again because there are many, many people signed up for the webinar. I just want to make sure that everybody doesn't get distracted by the background noise. But I do encourage you to ask questions, and there's a place to put those in the GoToWebinar box right here. Now, when I'm presenting, I can't see this box, but I'm going to pause periodically and stop and answer questions. I'll also review those questions later, and again, feel free to contact me if you have questions. Now, a nice feature about this GoToWebinar panel is there's a chat box down below. So you in the audience, participants, can actually chat with each other. And again, I do see some names of some people that I know who are really great ThingLink users. So it's possible that someone could answer your question in addition to me. And that's the beauty of having a lovely, growing ThingLink community of educators. Okay, so let's get started. And I'm just going to start with the basics because I'm assuming we have various different users here. What I'd like to begin with is just to tell you a little bit about what ThingLink is. It's definitely a tool that can help you transform teaching and learning and help students build 21st century skills as they create, collaborate, communicate, and engage in critical thinking and problem solving. What it is it's a tool for annotating images. So you start with an image and you add little links or tags on each of the images that lead to more information. So you build on top of an image. You can create multiple hotspots to annotate images with text, pictures, video, audio, hyperlink, and hyperlink to any web content. There are mobile apps for iOS, so iPhone and iPad, and also for Android devices. And that helps ThingLink be a really flexible tool for, doesn't matter which version you're using at school with students, you should be able to get ThingLink to work very easily. And again, it does help develop students' 21st century skills. And this is just a picture here of some of the things that you can do with ThingLink. Just as a visual reminder, you can take pictures, video, links, works on a computer and a mobile device. You can embed a ThingLink into a blog or a wiki or a website or just about anything that supports embedding. You can share. And at the end of this webinar, I'm going to share many, many images with you that are wonderful. And of course, you can add text. So ThingLink also has something called rich media tags, and I thought that deserved a little bit of an explanation. A rich media tag is something that when you create a link, like I have right here, if you can see the picture with the finger pointing to this little play button, that is an actual ThingLink. And if it supports rich media tags that will embed information right on the page, so you don't have to click and go someplace else. So in this example, here's a student project that I actually did called Road to Revolution, and we linked here, created a link to a YouTube video. And that's all you do is copy and paste the link into a box. I'll demonstrate that in a few minutes, and the video shows up live. And that's really nice. You can just play it by clicking on the play button as well. Now here is a list of the rich media tags that are supported by ThingLink. And also, if anybody's a developer out there, you can actually create your own rich media tag as well. But any of these things here, Spotify, SoundCloud, any of these things will show up right on the page. And you'll see lots and lots of examples of those throughout the webinar. ThingLink also is flexible across platforms. A little more about that. The idea is that there's a circle of possibilities so that students and teachers can use whatever device is convenient at the moment. Of course, it works on a computer. ThingLink is primarily a web-based tool, so you can log in from any internet-connected computer and access your ThingLink account. It also works on a tablet through a web browser. So the apps are wonderful, and if you have the apps, that's great. But even if you don't have the apps, I know sometimes it's hard to get apps added to student devices. If you don't have the app, you can certainly use ThingLink just by going to Safari or whatever web browser you're using on your tablet, and it'll work beautifully. There are also apps for iOS and Android. And the beauty about those, the best thing about those is that they don't require Wi-Fi. So you can pick up those mobile devices, you can go out into the world, and you can create ThingLinks. And I'll show you some examples of that later. The idea is that you can use whatever device is convenient at the moment. Students who are bringing their own devices can use whatever device is convenient for them at home and at school. And also this works to support our numbers of students who don't have internet at home. Okay, so about the apps a little more. There was just recently an iOS release today. I believe it was today or yesterday. And so if you are already an app user, you'll notice that there's a few more things about the app. There are now channels that you can use on the apps, and I'll be sharing a channel with you, I believe, on the next slide. And the Android app is expected to be released, I think, tomorrow, but at least certainly this week, the Android app should be released. You can get them from down to iTunes or Google Play. What's interesting about the apps is that, again, you can support the learning beyond the classroom walls. They just work a little differently. Students can take a picture through the ThingLink app and immediately add a picture on top of an image. So that's a really nice thing. They can also do the same thing with video. And again, now you can create and use channels. Okay, so the next part, this is probably the best part of this webinar, are just some ways to use ThingLink. And if you're new to ThingLink and you're still a little confused about what it is, you won't be after this part. What I'm going to do with you is I'm going to share a ThingLink channel. I have mentioned channels. They're now available. They're available on the apps now. And a ThingLink channel is basically a slideshow, but it's an interactive slideshow. And these are really wonderful resources because here I am sharing a slideshow and my ThingLink actually works and plays right on the screen. So this is an amazing resource. And this is your channel, of course. And I've just got a quick few slides in my channel to share with you about ways to use ThingLink. And then at the end of the webinar, I'm going to share with you even more ways that teachers have actually created them. So the first one is, I think, the best reason to use ThingLink, and that's because teachers can provide students with differentiated resources. They can collect everything they need to teach, and they can pack it all into one image, or of course a channel of images, and they can give it to students. They can assign a learning task, or they can, do it in whatever way is comfortable for them in the classroom. But ThingLink supports a variety of multimedia. Now, we know that in our classrooms, we have many students who are diverse learners. Some students learn better by reading. Some students need to watch a video. Others, audio works for them, and others need to get their hands on it. So here I've created this image. This is the first ThingLink image I ever created, but I've rebuilt it just a couple of times, added to it. And this is just to show the different ways that you can support different student learners. So here you can see, for this one, the idea was just students would explore this to learn information about the Apollo 11. It's just a very simple image, like I said, the first one I ever created. So I use these little number icons just to guide the learning, so that when students are sitting down, they're participating and they're engaging with this content here, they know a good suggested way to start. So I'm going to suggest number one, of course, and I have a little text there that you should be able to read, and it just talks about kicking off the learning with an actual video. And if I click here, here's an actual video of the Apollo rocket launch. So of course, this is really good for everybody just to get the understanding of what it was like to launch the rocket. And as they go around this resource, they have all kinds of differentiated resources at their fingertips. We have more videos. When we get to number 3, I wanted all the students to do some reading about each of these astronauts. But I know that everybody's not at the same reading level. And I really believe that students should be able to self-select. They know what reading level they're at. And so they should select something that works for them. So I made these little icons here that say easy, medium, and advanced. And here students can see that it's reading because it looks like a book. And then they come to different resources. Now, this first one that's easy was from Wikipedia's Simple English, which is just very, very basic reading level, a special section of Wikipedia designed just for with short sentences instead of complex sentences. You notice that the preview pops up when I click on it. That's because Wikipedia is one of those sources that embeds their media tags. If I click on this, I will go to the whole article, but it's really nice to be able to preview it here. And so I have different levels, again, so students can self-select. Now, the other thing is audio. Some students are audio learners, and here I used AudioBoo, which is another tool for embedding, or another rich media tag tool. And here I found on AudioBoo, they had a rich collection of audio sounds already available. And I signed up for a free account, and I found lots of sounds about the rocket launch in their actual voices. One small step for man. This comes alive when kids listen to it. Now, just because we're on a webinar right now, I'm not going to go ahead and play it because sometimes it's just too much for, too many connections, but it's really nice and it's a really good resource. Of course, if you use something like AudioBoo, kids can also make their own recordings, and that gets to be really valuable, just to hear the kids' voices and giving their opinions. And so now if you do have kids record their own voices, now this becomes interactive and students can show some accountability. And then the final thing that I wanted them to do is to play a game, because some kids really need to get their hands on it. And I found a really great simulation game here called We Choose the Moon. And so I linked to it. So if you click on this link, you're actually going to leave ThingLink and it'll open a new tab, let them play the game, close the tab, and come back here. So again, this is a very, very simple tool, but a very powerful thing, I believe, in incorporating a lot of different types of multimedia. Now, another way to use ThingLink is to guide the learning. And you saw before how I had the numbers, and I wish I had numbers in this one. This is one that I created a while ago too. just to guide the learning. And so what I did here is I'm sharing content, but I want students to be more accountable than just exploring, because we all know if we set them off to explore, they might not learn the same thing. And we want them to learn as much as they can and in their own way, but sometimes there needs to be a little more accountability. So in this specific one, I use the green hand and the red hand, and my students would just know that this means start and this means stop. And I connected to some I created my own resources outside of ThingLink and connected to them, again, to make this very, very interactive. So I'm going to click out right now and show you what I mean. Before they get started about the drought, I felt like they needed some background knowledge. So here's a little writing prompt. It's just on a Google Doc. I just typed it and put an image in just to get them thinking. You could do that. You could connect to any resources you wanted to there. And then I had them go around again and explore the multimedia resources. Here's an image that I've embedded, and I used Flickr. You can upload an image to Flickr and then just copy and paste the address, and you'll get an embedded image. So that's really nice. And then again, I have audio and I have video so kids can explore. But there's a little bit of accountability here with this exit ticket. Excuse me. So for the exit ticket, and of course I would want students to read this before they started. Here I have students having to do an activity related to their learning. So they could select their own activity. Excuse me. This is a Google Doc. And again, I'm giving them choices. I love to give kids choices. You could blog about it. You could find more research, different jobs in different groups, but they'd have to complete that when they were done. So that's just a way that you can connect any resource that you have to guide the learning. Okay. Now, this goes along with the other one. The lesson that I just shared with you could be used at home as a flipped lesson. We know that sometimes our valuable class time could be spent if kids come to class knowing some content and knowing some material. And that's the whole idea behind flipped learning. However, I like to use this as just a flipped activity. This isn't, a full-fledged flipped classroom, but I like to use this every once in a while just because there's some content that kids can get at home, access at home, and take their time with. So like I said, when they come to class, they already know what they're doing and they're ready to learn and to do a project. So this is a very simple example. Providing students with background knowledge and prepared to learn. I like the idea that students can pace themselves. I would give this homework assignment, I'd say this is due, by Friday. And of course, I know most would do it on Thursday night, but students can pace themselves and they can review. And students who want to learn can review it over and over again until they get it. It's also a nice resource for parents who are working with their students. You can see this is an activity for a younger student. Just nice to be able to have that option. And also, of course, if anybody was absent or out of class for some other reason, they have those resources available 24/7. So in this example, it's as simple as can be. I was trying to pre-teach vocabulary, which I think is a big thing. The Common Core suggests that we need to really focus on vocabulary, and it'll improve our students' chances of success in school. So I've identified some vocabulary words here, and I've linked to a tool called Instagrok. Now this will take me out, and it's just a nice, again, flexible tool for helping kids find out what words mean. But I just, to define words. And in this case, we're defining them more than we're actually, more than just looking at them up in a dictionary. I would caution you not to just link to a dictionary. But here I have the kids look at the words, and then I have all of these videos here about each stage of the butterfly life cycle. And they're just beautiful. And each of the videos uses the vocabulary. So what I'd want them to do is to watch the videos, get an understanding of the vocabulary, and use Instagrok, this amazing tool, to build their own definition of the words. So then they'd come to class knowing what they're doing already, so that when we talked about some of these words, we talked about a chrysalis, they would know what a chrysalis was. Now here I've got a activity that they'd need to complete in their journal, and they'd need to, so that they were accountable and they would bring something in. And again, this was just student journal drawing project, but you could make this anything you wanted. You could have students actually work together to write a paper or to create their own movie or to incorporate any of those 21st century skills. You have the power and the flexibility to do whatever you can imagine. So that's why I really like this tool. Okay, so shifting through the slideshow, this is another great way to use ThingLink. And this, again, focuses on the fact that you can use ThingLink unplugged with the apps. And this is what I had mentioned, the ThingLink Teachers Challenge. This was one of the favorite activities that we did because everybody turned off their Wi-Fi, went outside in the summer and just took pictures. And there's a lot of learning that can be done outside in the world. My example is about a field trip, but you could also just take kids around the classroom or around the building outside for a nature walk or a garden walk or for, whatever you're studying. I've really found that if you can bring the devices or bring your phones or whatever, kids are engaging with the content and it's more meaningful to them if they're creating and interacting with it as they go. So in this case, this is a field trip to the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago, and I bet some of you have been there. It's one of my favorite places. And for this activity, I had kids do a scavenger hunt. So I created a scavenger hunt, and they had to do things like take a picture, write a question. They could use whatever they saw because they went in different little groups, their own guided groups, but they had to, interact with the museum as they went. So the scavenger hunt, and that was right on their iPads as well. The scavenger hunt kept them busy. And when they went to the museum without Wi-Fi, they interacted with the content. And it was one of the first times that I can remember that nobody asked when lunch was because, of course, they were so busy engaging with the museum. So let me show you how this works. And this is a way to use the circle of possibilities that I talked about earlier with the apps and the Wi-Fi connected devices. So after the scavenger hunt, here's just an example of what students did. Actually, they did a lot more. This is a very pared down example. So first of all, they had to take a picture. So one of the highlights of this museum is the German U-505 submarine, and you stand in line for a long time waiting for that. So here's the image that they took right with the ThingLink app. I should mention they started out with this, the picture of the museum, and then they were building it as they went. So when they're standing in line and they have their picture, they could immediately upload, and on the app, it shows up like this. Okay, so then they had to write some questions, and here's an example of a question. It says, the guide told us the sub had to be restored and moved recently. I wonder how they did that. Now, later on, this was a series of images, and later on, the student looked up on the internet and found a video about that film, The Moving of the Sub, and added it. These images got packed because students brought this home and kept working on it. And here it is right here. So here was the idea. I'm sorry, this is actually what the student found to learn more about the U-505. And here's an article that talks about it. And there were videos in the article, I believe. And then this was kind of neat. There was a partner interview opportunity where students had to conduct an interview in front of an exhibit and put themselves into the exhibit. Now, I don't remember what interviews happened in front of the U-505 submarine, but in front of other exhibits, there was a space exhibit, and the kids were asking each other questions about going up into space. What would you wear in space and things like that? So just an amazing interactive experience where the kids come away actually learning more than talking about more than who they sat next to in the bus or when was lunch. And it's really nice. Again, if you can't bring those devices, usually some people have phones. It could do it that way, or maybe you could just go out into the schoolyard and take pictures, create interactive images of life as it happens. Okay, and then there are some student projects, and this is a really nice project that I did. And what it is it's a student-driven learning project where students are in groups and they have to answer an essential question. And I think that's really great because this way everybody can come up with an answer depending on what their learning style is or whether they're the highest or the lowest student in the class. Everybody can answer it. And it's something that'll take a little bit of time. It's not something you can copy and paste. It's something that you can explore, discover, and share through this ThingLink. But I used it, the ThingLink, for in two ways here. The first way is to use it to launch some content. And then finally, the students actually built this image. So I kind of fudged this one that I'm going to share with you, but in a minute, you'll see the actual image. Students were working in collaborative groups trying to answer this question. And one group took the Montgomery bus boycott. There was their topic. So they had to prove how and why they struggled for justice. And so they created this collage, actually. And in a minute, you'll see all the links that they put on there. But I have students work in jobs based on their learning styles as well. So they're all collaborating on this one image together rather than having every student do their own project. Because again, it's a 21st century tool. And this is what we're talking about when we're talking about transforming teaching and learning. So the students would work collaboratively to answer the question. Now, I'm going to be daring here on this webinar, and I'm going to click here. This is a lesson paths playlist that I created. So there's some work involved here in doing this, in setting this up, but I have it forever, and I've used it several times, actually. So here's a guided learning activity that's built right into the ThingLink, and students can go through and they can learn and they can read. These are actually resources that I had, and I just uploaded them to this particular lesson path. So you could do this through a Google presentation or a Google Doc or whatever tool you use. So here's the final project now. I told you that I kind of fudged that slide. And so here is how the students answered this question. So they answered with audio. And here you can hear the Freedom Singers. And this time I used SoundCloud, which is also another tool with the rich media tags. This worked really well, too. We took just a snippet of content so we didn't violate any copyright. And then the kids found some videos, and the kids gave some more information on a third-party tool, Padlet, which I'll share with you later, too. And there's links to more information and quotes, because that's a common core skill, is to work with quotes in 5th grade, which is what this was. And so they found this quote and they put it in here. So there's a lot of information here on this as well. So let me show you just very briefly about some of the types of jobs that are supported by ThingLink. And this is something I like to do. I've been using student jobs for a long time. So one student would be the copy editor, and that student would find research to answer the essential question. They'd be using the text. If I was preparing resources for them, this is where I would have the easy, middle, and difficult text that I found. The graphic designer would create the image. The graphic designer would create the collage and collect images and try to answer the essential question. There'd be a multimedia engineer who'd find the video. Generally, I like to have students who maybe don't have a lot of background knowledge using with this job, because watching the video is going to give them all the background knowledge they need. And so they're watching video and they're deciding what to choose. And then the audio engineer would be the one who'd find the song or whatever. They could also stage. One time I had students talk about staging a singing, actual students doing the singing. It never actually happened though, but you could record your voices. And then a project manager to oversee the whole project. And that project manager then can actually be responsible for knowing a lot about everything and just making sure that the job gets done. So that's a way that you could plan and facilitate a student project. And with that, this is my final slide in the channel. I want to suggest another way to use ThingLink and also to facilitate a project, so this is twofold, is to provide built-in tech support with a project like that. Now, in that playlist, if you would keep going, that playlist that I just shared with you had several slides. One of the slides linked to some tech tools. Actually, not this one. This is Google Docs tech tips. But what I do here for a lot of the teaching that I do is I provide students with tech tips that are videos of me actually teaching, so that they can actually, if they come across a problem, they don't have to raise their hand, waste class time, stall, dilly-dally. They can just watch the video and solve their own problem. So ThingLink is perfect for this, because look at all the resources I can pack on this one page. So if students needed to learn how to use the research tool in Google Docs, that's all they do is go here. And it's easily accessible. Again, since ThingLink can be embedded, this can be embedded in lots of places. It can be in that playlist. It can be on my website. It can be wherever students need it. And the beauty is, if I change the video and I change the image, it's changed everywhere. So I don't have to go back and remember where it was. I just need to change it once, and it changes everywhere. So this is a really nice use, again, good way to manage a student-driven learning project and a good use of ThingLink. And I have several tutorials that I've been building this way on different topics. One thing that's nice about this is it really saves time. Now when you introduce a project as the teacher, you don't have to go through and stand in front of them and say, and this is how you use a video. You can just say, when you're ready, here's the tutorial. Will kids ask you for help initially before they're used to that? Yes, but pretty soon they just get used to using this tutorial. That's real world learning. We all learn things from going to YouTube, and so I think it's a really great way to save time. And of course, when students are watching the video, they can use the pause button. So that is, I believe, yes. So that is the end of my channel. And again, a channel is where you can create a collection of interactive resources. There are lots of ways to use a channel, but I thought I would demonstrate that one way. And let me get back to my PowerPoint. Okay. So I'm going to stop for a minute and I'm going to see if there are any questions now in the question box. Let's see. I see. Let's see. Yes, there will be a recording, Nikki. Nikki wants to know if there'll be a recording available. I pushed the record button, and so I assume it's recording. When I'm done, I think I have to work with the video a little bit and make it available. But I made the decision for this first one, with the help of the ThingLink team, that we're going to put it right on the ThingLink blog. So you'll be able to see it. I can't guarantee that it will actually get done today, but it will be up there by tomorrow. So in the event that the recording didn't work, I'll just re-record it. But yes, you will get a recording of this. Absolutely. Any other questions? I see Alexandra says hello. Oh, India. Let's see. I don't see too many questions. Oh, is there a way to, Robin has a question. Is there a way to embed ThingLink into a Prezi? Okay, that's a really good question, Robin. And this is just for everything. ThingLink can be embedded, and I'm going to do a demo and I'll show you how you would embed that in a minute. It supports iframe embedding. So you get a little code, and if you're using any tool that supports embedding, it will work. So I don't use Prezi very often, but if there's a place in Prezi to embed, I think there is. I'm almost positive there is. Then you should be able to embed a ThingLink. For example, Google Docs does not have any way to embed anything. So you can't embed a ThingLink in Google Docs, but you can embed it wherever embedding is possible. So that was a really great question. Let's see. Some people don't see a chat tab, but some people do. So I'll just share with you that the chat tab is way at the bottom. It's the very final tab. And if you don't see it, I'm not sure what to do, but I will go ahead and try to figure that out or contact the webinar people a little later. Okay, so let's see. So now I would like to keep going. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the ThingLink EDU Classroom. I just have a couple of slides because that's a little different, and I know that that's became available in January of this year, and not everybody is that familiar with it. I just wanted to give you a couple of tips on this one. So the ThingLink EDU Classroom is wonderful because it's a safe and secure environment for you and your students. There is a search tool within ThingLink now where you can actually search for content to add to your ThingLink right on the page. And it's, the highest filter, Google Safe Search is there. So everything is set up to be safe for students. You can see all of their work, but and you can interact with all of their work if you're in a class. So that makes it really nice. But they're not working in any unsafe environment. It's secure, it's protected, and it's their own little web space to work in. So let's see. You can also create student accounts without requiring email. I've got the next couple of slides to show you all the options there. And you can create channels, which I think now you're familiar with the channel. But you could also create channels as the teacher, since you have access to everything. You could create channels of content on one topic. So if you had a bunch of students who all worked on a similar project, on butterflies, you could make a butterfly channel. You could also, as a teacher, create a little mini book of content for teaching, as opposed to a textbook, a little mini unit of interactive content, which would be a really nice way to organize your images. You can have lots and lots of channels, and you can reuse images in channels. So the images that I showed you in the channel earlier are also available somewhere else in another channel. So channels are nice and flexible. You can share those with students. And teachers can add tags to their students' images. And I love this idea because I think that you can add tags that say good job, or, check your spelling, or whatever their goals are. You can add whatever, to interact with them and to provide them with feedback. And we all know how important feedback is to students, and you can do it really easily. So that's really nice too. So again, this is just a reminder that ThingLink is cross-platform, and this is a really nice image I wanted to share with you. Use it across devices, go back and forth from home to school. It doesn't matter. It's not like some of those apps that only work with certain versions. I know some of the Apple apps, you have to have compatible versions. That's not the case. You can use this. Nothing's going to stop you. And again, the app lets you use work beyond the classroom walls, but I wanted to make sure you knew that you could download them on iTunes. And if you're an Android user, you might want to wait till tomorrow or the next day to see if you can get the updated version with the channels. Okay, about student accounts. Now, student accounts are something that's new to the ThingLink EDU Classroom, and I think it's really a plus. We all know that students under 13 don't have email or shouldn't have email unless they have a Google Apps account. And it's not always a good idea to have students using their own personal email for school. So there are some options for everybody. First of all, this is really important. So I put some yellow on my slide here. Students can sign up if they have a Google Apps account. So if your school uses Google Docs and you're a Google Apps for Education user, they can sign up with that account by clicking on this button that says Log in with Google+. That's a little confusing because I know that in my Google Docs school, our students don't have access to Google+. They're under 13. Never mind, it doesn't matter. Just click that button and log in with your Google Docs account. It couldn't be easier. So don't let that fool you. Google just asked that button be shown, so it is. But another way, if your students aren't Google Docs users, you can actually create accounts for them. What you do is you come to this little box and you go ahead and click on register students, and a box pops up, and you just copy and paste a list of their usernames right here. So it can be their first name or their last name, or if they have special common usernames that they use for other things, you can also use those. Just copy and paste. One line per student, but it goes pretty quickly. Now it auto generates. This is a little tricky. After you do that, you'll get to a screen and it gives you a big warning. It says, keep these passwords, keep these usernames. And I do suggest that you print those or save those as a PDF. That's for first time login. And the password that it generates are a little clunky. And I'm going to tell you that not to worry, you only have to use them once. So you can have kids copy and paste them. Once they log in, they can change their own password just like a teacher could change their password. Now, if you have really young students, I'm planning on getting some really young students on this tool next year. You can actually, as the teacher, go in and change their password for them. So you just need to decide what works best for you. But there's a little button in the teacher management that says change password, and you can actually do that manually. If you have a class of 24 7-year-olds, that might not be a bad use of your time. But anyway, accounts are flexible. If students have email accounts, they can just go ahead and sign up. They choose from the ThingLink EDU page. They choose, I'm a student, and they sign up with their own username, password, confirm it. And if you'd rather, you as a teacher can invite members to join the group by just copying their email address in here and clicking advice, and they'll get an auto-generated message. So there are 4 different ways you can sign up for a ThingLink EDU account, and it's definitely well worth it to get your students' accounts. All student accounts are managed by the teacher. So within the student accounts, you can have student groups. When you first sign up as a ThingLink EDU teacher, you'll get one group created automatically. It'll be like Mrs. Oxnavad's classroom. You can change that name in settings, by the way. I just discovered that. Once you have the student groups, you can add students to groups, and you'll get a list like this of all the students. You can monitor their account use. So if they said they went into ThingLink when they went home and they didn't, and you want to catch them, you can find out when's the last time they used it. You can monitor a lot of things, and you can, like I said, view all the work of one group in one place. Students can belong to multiple groups. So they could belong to your group, they could belong to their art teacher's group, they could belong to your special genius hour group. You can put them in different groups. And the beauty of this is that you can have separate controls for each group. And I think I have a picture of that. Yes. So in order to manage controls on the ThingLink screen, you find your little name here, and then you click on settings, and you get a whole bunch of new options. But so when you log in, you're logged in as a teacher. If I want to log in as my group, the ThingLink Teacher Challenge group, which is one I just created, has over 500 members in it, then I go down to the bottom and I log in as a group, and I get a different set of controls. So here's where I can go to settings, and I can make all the images within one group open for anybody in the group to edit. So I said it better here. I can permit all users to edit images within a group to support collaboration. Maybe I don't want all of my images as a teacher to be editable, but maybe within the group of students I do. So that's a lovely feature that gives you the right, the ability to control whether students are working collaboratively or independently. Again, I mentioned teachers can add tags to students' images. And then there's something called custom icons, which we haven't mentioned yet, but you've seen a lot of special custom icons that I've used throughout this presentation. Custom icons are only available with a premium account. But if you do have a premium account and you create custom icons for your group, in your group, students can use those icons. So I could create an extra special icon for my classroom, and every student in my group could use it. And that's really, I think, an added bonus. And then you could tell students, I want you to label this with a specific icon. So it gives teachers a lot of control. And again, go to a different group and set different controls. So that's a nice feature that doesn't always come to mind unless you really play around with it. And again, class channels, and I think I showed you the class channel, but I didn't mention the best use, I think, is that to use it as a student portfolio. So what students can do is they can create a collection, an ongoing collection of images, interactive images in a channel for use as a traditional portfolio, where they set their goals, they reflect on their work, and teachers can assess and they can self-assess. Again, teachers can put the tags on them. So a teacher who knows that a student's working really hard to improve something could design a special tag just for that student and tag it as they go along. And by the way, this class portfolio of ThingLink images doesn't have to be only with ThingLink images. If students create something in EduCreations or a Google Doc, they can take a snapshot of it, upload it to ThingLink, and tag it for a portfolio. So it doesn't have to be, everything does not have to be an interactive image, but this is still a really powerful and valuable tool. Okay, and here again, here's my portfolio, and I just talked about that. This is one that also was used as a memory book. This is a picture of my school that I cartoonized, and exactly like I said, kids did not actually have everything as an interactive image, but they used the interactivity to share and to document their learning. Okay, now a little bit about getting started with ThingLink EDU. Very important here. Again, I've only said very important twice, and I've only changed the color in my slides twice. If you don't yet have a ThingLink teacher account, it's important that you sign up at thinglink.com/edu to get the teacher account. And it's also important that you sign up online first before you get the app. There's just an order of things. So first go to ThingLink EDU, then sign up. It'll take you a minute, and then get the app. If you already have a ThingLink account and it doesn't say teacher in the corner, you want to go back, log out, go to ThingLink EDU, sign up, and then you'll get upgraded to the ThingLink teacher account. I'm going to show you a live demo right now, but this is what the page looks like. The regular ThingLink looks a little different. I'm going to show you a 2-second live demo in case there are some people out there who don't know how to create a ThingLink. So I just clicked out of my PowerPoint and into ThingLink, and here's just an image that I have sitting right here, and this is part of my butterfly project. And I uploaded it to ThingLink just by clicking a button. I'll show you that real fast. I'm not going to do that right now, but I can upload it to ThingLink. I could also use a Flickr image, or I could use a web image. But I'm going to tell you, when you're using this with students, I think it's best to try to upload your own images just to teach them about copyright and things. This is an option. I don't think Facebook usually is an option for schools, but there is some connectivity there. Okay, so here's my home screen. There's my control panel, by the way, where my settings are. And then when I'm here, I open up my image, and I'm going to go ahead and add a tag. It's as simple as this. I click edit. I tap somewhere on the image to add the tag. I choose my icon. That might take a little while. Okay, usually it goes faster, but we are connected. And this is a video, so I'm going to choose the video icon. That is a custom icon, by the way. And I've already copied and pasted it from YouTube because I knew I was going to do this. And there you go. I could put some information. I could say, learn about the monarch butterfly. And it's as simple as that. Now I'm going to save this. And in a minute, there's my video. So creating with ThingLink is really, really easy. Once you get going, once you start using it, you're not going to think anymore about, gee, how do I do this? You'll think about, how can I use this? How can I use this to teach whatever it is I want to teach? I always say ThingLink is powered by intellect and ideas. There's no different process than that. Everything about creating interactive images is exactly the same as copying and pasting the link. I think, quite frankly, teachers usually struggle with how they're going to create their images, and that's a whole different story. Would be a good webinar topic as well. Now, I promised to share ThingLink Premium with you because ThingLink is pretty excited about the launch of the ThingLink Premium account. I've been using the ThingLink Premium features throughout this webinar, so you're going to notice some things. But the first thing I wanted to tell you is that it was just released, and it's only $35 per year. I know that some of you have clicked on the upgrade option before and came to the business account, which is considerably more than that. So I wanted to let you know $35 a year is the price for that. And because ThingLink was very generous in celebrating the first webinar, and so they have offered a 15% discount to teachers who are participating in the webinar. So that gets it down to $29.75 if you're interested. And here's a picture of the screen. There's a promo code, EDUWebinar14. That's all caps, and I typed it here so you could see. And then you'll get this. This is a picture of the screen when I tried it today. So if you're interested in getting ThingLink EDU Premium with that promo code, it would be $29.75 per year. And again, that's just a thank you. Now let me show you some of the features. Student accounts. We already went over those. Personalized icons, and I think this is best, which is why I put it first. I think this is one of the greatest features. I love to create custom icons. ThingLink has a regular set of icons, and those are really good as well, and you can do a lot with those. The first time I used ThingLink when I started way back then, there was one black circle. That's all there was. So it's really expanded. But having the ability to create my own icons really is important to me. I tend to create them every time I create a new ThingLink because I love those. In this example here, the personalized icons, of course, I made the easy to differentiate the reading. And all of these are personalized custom icons. So that's a really great thing. And again, if you create them, your students can use them. Also, the icon selection in the premium version is going to be expanding. 75 icons are available. And again, there used to be just this one black dot. So they are available, and more are coming soon. We've talked about adding some additional things, maybe some math symbols, and perhaps some new numbers. So those are coming. One thing you should notice, there's a transparent icon as well, which is, I find myself using it all the time. I'll show you ways in just a little bit. Okay, so this is very, very important as well. You can replace your image. I created this interactive image in February of 2012, and it's probably the best thing I've ever created. It got a lot of attention. It is packed full of resources. Each one of these little things is a resource, leads to an icon to a different resource about all of these topics. I can teach this for more than a day and never stop, never run out of content. But as you can guess, in 2012, there weren't things like the Google Classroom, right? I had to just add that one. And I didn't know yet about AudioBoo, and some of my tools have disappeared. So I find myself continually having to rebuild this. And if I had to create this graphic from scratch and re-tag it over and over and over again, that would be time consuming. But with this version, this premium version, I can click a button and replace image. So that's all I do is I rebuild the graphic, upload it, and my icons are still there. Every single one is still there and intact. And again, wherever it's embedded, it can be embedded all across the web. So I've got this in a million places, and it's always updated. So it's really, control too as well. So nobody's going to come to my outdated resources, whether they like it or not. So that's a beautiful thing. Oh, and this is how you'd add to a channel as well. And then there's ThingLink for video, and this is really exciting and really new. Some people who have been who were at ISTE or who are ThingLink fans, ThingLink users, ThingLink Teacher Challenge participants have been using a beta version of ThingLink for video. I can tell you, quite honestly, it works really beautifully. ThingLink for video is just like ThingLink for images, except you start with a video instead of starting with images. It's a really powerful tool. Teachers can add little tags like this. The process is just the same. You just click and pop the link in, and they can use it to add questions and prompts that just fly across the screen. Or you can add tags linking to additional information that when you click on them, those would be in the middle of the screen and not on the side. But when you click on them, the video pauses and it comes to all sorts of information. And you can just really annotate a video. So you can find great educational video and add what you know students need to know. Again, this goes really quickly, but once you create it, it's created. You can edit it, you can update it, but you've got this resource available rather than standing in front of the class and saying, okay, students, we're going to stop and discuss this. Great use for the flipped classroom as well because it's available 24/7. Now, I sort of hesitate to do this right now to turn this on because that's too many things draining the GoToWebinar server. But you can find this online, samples of these videos online. And in my follow-up email, I'll send you a link to an article where I had like 3 different ways to use ThingLink for video. So ThingLink for video is great as it is now. It's expected to be released and ready to go in September. So this will be part of the ThingLink Premium feature package that will be available. And like I said, it's coming in September, just as soon as they move it from one place to the other, because right now they're in 2 separate places. So that's ThingLink for video. And a couple of other things, maybe not that important to you, but you'll notice in the corner of every ThingLink image, you see this ThingLink branding. You can turn that off if you want to. With the ThingLink Premium account, you can also create your own brand here. So I just made this up, Sun Valley Schools. But if your school has a brand that you'd like to put on all your images, that's great. And then when other people share and embed your image, they can get your branding. Another thing is the presentation, and I think I went over that many times, so I'm just going to keep going. Linked photo tags. You can combine a bunch of different things in one tag. You can have an image, a link, and text so that it all jumps out because we know that a picture speaks more than 1,000 words. And then again, those are rich media tags that are shortened with an URL shortener will just pop right up here. Websites that support Open Graph display the website. You've noticed throughout my demonstrations, some websites show up really nicely and some just have a link. That has less to do with ThingLink and more to do with the source that you're linking it to. But I find more and more that these actually show up. And then also there's the option for invisible bubbles. And in this case, there's nothing for you to see except for my book reviews, there was so much content here that it was taking over my image. And I didn't want everything to pop up and embed. Occasionally you don't want it to. So in this case, I checked a box and hid the bubbles. So kids would just click here and go to their Google Docs activity. And since Google Docs doesn't embed anyway, this was just really a nice use of that, just disabling the pop-up. And also managed comments. Students can comment on images. I get a lot of comments on my images, and within the classroom, they can comment on each other's. You can manage that if you don't want that going on in your classroom. That's an option. And then here's the sharing screen. So ThingLink can be shared. Regular ThingLink can be shared. If you need to add the link to it, it's here. If you need to embed, we talked about that earlier, into something that supports embedding, copy and paste this code. I always check that iframe embed box. But these can be shared. Now, ThingLink channels are a little tricky. You can create a ThingLink channel with a free account, but in order to share it and embed the whole channel in a blog, wiki, website, or somewhere else, you do need to have the premium account for that one. So you can still create channels and share them, but embedding is only supported in the premium version. And then there's some things like advanced dashboard. You can see who's checked your images, how many people have hovered over it, as opposed to how many people have clicked it. I think that's all telling. You can get reports. You can get detailed stats, the click rate, average time on images. This will help you, especially if you are a tech coach or you present places. This will help you to know which of your images are working and why they're working. So again, you can find out the engagement. And these are the custom tags that we talked about. Oh, and here's a picture of all the rich media tags, just so you can get a visual of those. Okay, so again, I'm just going to flash that promo code in case you didn't write it down. You could always email me or email ThingLink to find out more about the premium. And it is available now. You can sign up for it now. And ThingLink for Video is coming very soon. Okay, so finally, I'm going to stop and see if there are any questions, and then I'm going to end this webinar sharing some information from the ThingLink Teacher Challenge, which is just an amazing experience. So let me just scroll through the questions here. Let's see, is there a site? Oh, that's a good question again from Jody. Is there a site license? Yes, we want this to be available for schools and for multiple teachers in a school and for districts. So right now, the first thing we launched, because school is starting, so we first launched just the teacher account, the $35 account, and just more information will be coming about getting licenses for schools. But generally, since I'm one of the people in my district who does that, I know you usually send an email and have a private conversation about site licenses, because school districts are different sizes. So you could also always send to sales@thinglink.com. And I'm going to put that in the chat. And if you're not, if you can't remember that, send it to me, Susan@thinglink.com. Okay, so the Teacher Challenge, again, this has become a curriculum that you can use. The ThingLink Teacher Challenge is over, although some teachers are finishing it. But what it was 10 weeks of activities designed to get teachers working together to use ThingLink and to have resources to use with students. We started simple with just a how-to image, and that's just because the first time you try ThingLink, I think you should just find a picture on the internet of something you know how to do and put some tags in to see how easy it is without trying to confuse the content. Sometimes the content that you're trying to create is so difficult that it feels like the tool is difficult, but you can start easy and then build from there. The struggle for justice one that I shared with you took me a long time, but nothing about ThingLink stopped me. It was just all the things I was trying to do. I got so excited. So I do say to start easy. In the ThingLink Teacher Challenges, there's rationale for some best teaching. So I shared this video with you, or the vocabulary one with you earlier, and now there's rationale for using vocabulary and why you should do it. So that's really good too. And the challenges are designed for teachers to complete them and then have something to share with students. And the final challenge was for students to create a portfolio of all of their challenges to share for use in the classroom. So that's just an option for you. Like I said, the challenge is closed, and we're moving on to other professional development activities. Might do another challenge, might do a student challenge. We'll certainly do some more webinars. But if you're wanting to learn about ThingLink, you could challenge yourself and go through the activities 1 week at a time, or however long it takes you, since it's self-paced. You would end up with some really great resources to share. Now, everything is available on the ThingLink blog. So this is my final thing. Ooh, and we can't find the server to the ThingLink blog. So I'm just going to escape and find it myself. I'll just go to Chrome and I'll just say thinglinkblog.com. And I can show you a little bit about where you can find all of these resources. And I don't have a web page. Well, I guess I'm not going to be able to show you those right now, but I can click out of the PowerPoint and show you some examples. So then you might need to write that down, thinglinkblog.com. Oops. So let me go back to ThingLink and just share a few of the different examples so that you can see those. I have a lot of ThingLinks to share with you. Now you can usually find things. You can search for images too in ThingLink, so that's kind of nice. My showcase isn't too far down, and here it is. So here is a showcase. You can find this and explore it at your leisure right on the ThingLink blog. I'm going to make this a little bigger. And that's where also the video will be. So you'll get a follow-up link to this as well. Now, this is a ThingLink, and each of these will take you to a Padlet. Okay. One thing that I didn't share with you is one of my favorite activities, which was maps. So I'm going to show you something. When I click here, I come to a Padlet wall, and Padlet is one of my favorite tools as well. Padlet's a free tool, and it's easy for students to use. I like to have students turn in their assignments this way because they don't need an email address. You just double click here. Copy and paste the ThingLink link right here. I don't happen to have one handy. And in a minute, it shows up and it's live and ready for viewing. So you can explore these different creative uses of maps that you see here. As you can see, we have all kinds of maps that we can create. Some have just the regular icons. Some have custom icons. We're making maps out of Wordles. We're making maps out of anything. But when I click here, I can explore this interactive map. There are many maps here for you to look for. So if you're interested in using ThingLink with your students, before you reinvent the wheel, look at some of the amazing examples that have been created by these teachers. We have an ultimate word wall. This is great. Looking for a vocabulary activity? In week 3, we started with students. We started teachers creating an interactive vocabulary activity. And what we ended up with is vocabulary activities on just about any topic you'd ever want. So here's one on the solar system, vocabulary and links to different multimedia. So there's lots and lots of resources here. And if you decide to take the ThingLink Teacher Challenge, you will have a lot of resources to look at. I do caution you, if you do want to do this, don't start at the end, start at the beginning. Because each week I added a little more to the task to help teachers grasp the whole scope and sequence of using ThingLink with students. Like I said, when you're done, if you stay a week ahead of the students, then you could actually have something to share with students. So I'm going to now go ahead and look at the questions one more time. Let's see. And then I'm going to thank everybody for joining. Now let's see. People are upgrading, I see. Good. Site license, we answered. Let's see. There's tags and video. Do you put the tag in the exact position of the video where you want it to show up? Yes, there's a trick to tagging. You put the tag where it shows up, but if you drag the tag to the outside and so it touches the parameter, it has different effects than it does if you just put it on the inside. And I believe, I haven't created a video in a couple of weeks now, but I believe when you drag it to the side, then it stays there and shows up without having to, it just stays there and shows up. You don't have to click. And I think if you put it on the inside, then you do stop and click the video. But I will clarify that. I know that when ThingLink for Video becomes available, I know I'll be blogging about it again. And I've done a little bit of blogging about that already, but there will definitely be more information coming. The beauty of ThingLink for Video is that it's just as easy as ThingLink, and it's so powerful. Now, Mary has another question. So let's see. Mary said, can I explain how a channel is different from a normal ThingLink? Yeah, very easy, Mary. A channel is a collection of ThingLinks. So I'm going to go back since I'm in ThingLink. Here I am in ThingLink, and I'll show you what that looks like very quickly. Here are my channels. So I click on this link here, and I've created quite a few channels. And when I go here to the channels, these are all channels that I've created. So here, let me find a good channel. Here is a channel of a SAMR channel that I created. And this is, again, to share with teachers. And so these are all different individual images that I've created at different times. And when I want to add them to a channel, that's all I do is I go to the bottom of the image. Let's pretend like I wanted to put this in a channel. It doesn't really go with my SAMR channel. And I add it to a channel. Then I get a selection of all of the channels that I've created, and I choose the right one to put it in, and it automatically adds it to the channel. So those channels were in the webinar ways to use ThingLink that I just created. Again, let me remind you that this image can be in multiple channels. When I don't want it in a channel anymore, I can just remove the channel if I want. And again, I can replace the image if I want to update it. So channels are a collection of images that you can create and string together in multiple different ways just to provide like a book or, again, portfolios or a slideshow. I hope that answered your question, Mary. Let me look and see if there are any more questions. Let's see. No one's seen the chat box. I apologize about that. Let's see. I just upgraded my account. Thank you. Okay, let's see. Is it important to use the touch feature? There are other features in ThingLink. This, I had to decide what I could cover in an hour. As you can probably tell, I can go on and on about this tool for a long time. And like I said, we'll be having some more webinars because I love to host webinars. The touch feature just helps you collect images so that you can see them in your stream. So, and you can disable that for students as well. That's part of the premium features. So these are all the images of people that I have touched recently. Some of you will see your own images, right? Here's one. So after you touch them, they show up in your screen, and it sends a nice little message to people who have created that. Sharon Drake created this one. There's also a couple of other things about the images that I didn't mention. There's a remix feature, and the remix lets you can turn that on and off. I know in a Premium account, it lets you take an image, click on it, and remix it so that that image becomes your own. And then you can create your own icons. So teachers could give students an image and everybody could click on it, remix it, and create their own. That's different than collaborating on one image, of course. There's also going to be a new feature coming out that has to do with images that lets you variations on remixing the image, and it's an add to feature that'll be announced pretty soon. Just more ways. The ThingLink team is always coming up with more ways to make it better for teaching and for teaching and learning. And I think we are out of time. We went 5 minutes over. I apologize for that. One last question. Oh, remixing. I just answered that. So remixing is, again, taking an image and turning it into your own. So it would be a way for a teacher to get content for students. I hope that I've answered all of your questions. I hope you've learned a lot about this webinar. Expect an auto-generated message from GoToWebinar to come. And then after I get the ThingLink for video registered or available and on the blog, I will send one quick email to each of you with a link and announcing that it's available. And I'll also give you there the opportunity to sign up for more news of ThingLink webinars. Of course, I publicize this stuff on Twitter, and so does ThingLink. That's ThingLink_EDU if you want to follow them. And if you're on social media, you'll find that news. But if you'd rather have that news delivered to your inbox, it would be an option to sign up as well. So I thank you so much for joining me and for participating in the very first ThingLink webinar. And if you have any questions whatsoever, Susan at thinglink.com. Thank you and have a great evening.